Hi, I'm Roy Collin, and I'm the creator of the podcast. You can find everything about me and the 5 podcasts on bio.link/podcaster, and you'll find it in the QR code there. I'd also like to thank my sponsors. If you or someone you know is struggling with anxiety and want to know how to be 100% anxiety free in 6 weeks without therapy or drugs, Daniel Packard Anxiety Solution Program Company offers a 6 weeks system that permanently solves anxiety at an astounding 90% success rate. People who join the program only pay at the end once they have clear, measurable results. If you're interested in learning more, go to permanentanxietysolutions.com, where you can book a free consultation with Daniel. Do you have high blood pressure and want to get off the meds? Doctors are amazed at what Zona Plus can do. Get a $50 discount with my code ROY. Go to zona.com/discount/ROY, and you see the QR code for all my sponsors down at the end. Quality Polish manufacturer of metal products for telecommunication and workshop equipment and other metals. If you'd like a brochure, you see it in the QR code, and you just let us know if you would like a quotation shipped internationally and very competitive rates. I hope you enjoy this week's podcast.
Welcome to the Speaking Podcast. You can find all our episodes on speakingpodcast.com. We're also on BitChute and YouTube. You'll find the links in the podcast description. I'm also a podcasting coach because I got 4 other podcasts. You'll find everything on bio.link/podcaster. My guest today, leadership coach, intuitive business consultant, inspirational speaker, best-selling author, founder and CEO of the Inspired Leadership Academy. Please welcome Maria Kellis.
Hello, and thank you for having me on your show. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm very excited.
Looking forward to this because we've spoke previously, and you might let the listeners know a little more about Maria.
Sure. So I have an unusual background. I come from even though now I work with energy and I truly believe in love, and I'm one of those people that you will call the people who put ethics and love and appreciation, humanity first. I come from a very tech background. So I went to school at MIT. My degrees were in mechanical engineering, in product development, and from the Sloan School of Management. So pretty much I was all about tech and money. That's what I cared about. And it was my life journey that kind of allowed me to see a very different part of the world. In 2004, I was confined in a wheelchair, no longer. But at the time, the doctors were telling me that the prognosis was not very good. And I remember thinking, I was in my 20s, I didn't want to be in the wheelchair for the rest of my life. That was kind of the low point of my life because I had just graduated from college, but I didn't have a ton of experience in anything. I was engaged, but my fiance left me when I was in the hospital. It was kind of a really difficult time, very, very challenging, very, very challenging. And it was during that time that I discovered for the first time meditation. And it was simply because for the pain, I was imagining water coming into the fire. That was the pain. So close your eyes, imagine pain as fire, bring water, and it worked. And I was like, I don't know what that is, but I'm doing more of that. And so that was the beginning of my journey into this world of energy. Since then, I've had some tremendous, deep, mystical experiences that have proven to me over and over and over again that this world is, well, there's always a possibility that I'm crazy, but this world is actually part of this world, that I just didn't see it before. And in 2008, I started helping people. It was kind of almost like a miraculous outcome. And I was like, how's that happening? I don't believe in miracles, so there must be a science behind it. So I literally started studying the science of the miraculous, the science of manifesting. How do we understand? How do we produce results? In 2012, I had what they call a near-death experience. At the time, I was working for the government of Greece at the highest levels, for the Ministry of the Environment, advising, even collaborating with the Office of the Vice President of Greece. And when that happened, I had what they call here in the East the bodhisattva experience when I went back hundreds of lives, thousands of years, and I understood what we call here in the East karma. And I was like, huh, I have no idea as a Christian, especially. I was like, I have no idea what it is, but this seems to be real. And so I started studying about that. And so I came to Asia. And since then, I've been traveling the world. I kind of couldn't go back to the normal, quote unquote, life, whatever normal is. I decided to create life. And I truly believe in the power of creation. I'm here as somebody who has created her life in her own terms. I've created a life that makes me happy and those around me happy. I always believe in what I call win-win-win situations. Win for me, win for you, and win for the world. And that's pretty much what I'm doing, what I'm helping people with. I'm helping leaders step into that space because, yeah, to me, it happened sort of like, oh, it happened through very dramatic events and situations. That's how I got these realizations. But I realized you don't need the pain and the suffering in order to get to this point where the flow is part of your life. And that's really what I'm working on with today.
That's beautiful. And just on when you went into a wheelchair, what was it that the diagnosis was that actually caused you to?
So I had a very aggressive form of multiple sclerosis. That was in 2004. And multiple sclerosis can attack either the brain or the spine. For me, it was both. And so because it attacked the spine, so it's a demyelination process and is an autoimmune disease. And as it attacked the spine, the nerves were kind of getting, well, I'm going to call it inflamed. So all the pain I was feeling, all the difficulty in motion is because the nerves were no longer sending signals. They were just sending signals of pain. And so I no longer had control of my body, but I had just a tremendous amount of pain, which is, by the way, we can talk about pain management if you are interested in learning some tricks.
Well, no. I mean, why I'm curious about that is because I've heard of a lot of people, and basically, if you go down the medical route, they kind of tell you, "Oh, we can slow it down and everything." But I've heard of people through breath work and everything. There's different things, and as you said, the meditation helped. There's so many things that can actually help. And I'm just wondering, is it like because you've done? It's like 3 degrees, I believe, in MIT. Yeah, which is a lot. So is it possible that it was kind of stress related that you wouldn't have realized at the time that could have brought on something like that?
Yes, and I believe that it was not only stress related, it was related to the whole way I was living life. I was not living life. I had this crazy idea that work is supposed to be difficult and something we really don't like, but we are good at. And then we have some things we do for fun sometimes. But we have to work in order to achieve this incredible goal. So I was definitely an overachiever. I definitely had all these incredible outside picture things. So from anyone's perspective, it looked like my life was extremely successful already and that I had the dream life. But inside, I felt nothing. And if I felt anything, it was pain and just pretty much feeling sad and sorry for myself, or I wasn't feeling good enough. I was feeling that I was not doing enough. That's kind of like the shadow side of the overachiever is that we think we never are good enough. And we keep trying for more. We keep doing more and more and more, but not because we have an inspiration, but it's like, oh, but if I achieve this, then maybe I will be happy. If I get there, then maybe I will be appreciated. Maybe I will be loved. So it was always, I remember reading that astronauts have this when they come back from the moon, they get depressed. And I remember feeling that at my first MIT degree. So I got to graduate 3 times, so both undergraduate and graduate. But I remember my first degree, I was sitting there and I'm like, now what? Now what? Okay, I got here. Now what? Nothing has changed in my life. I got this incredible goal that everybody told me is like, you have to get this, and then now what? That's when, for the first time, I realized that my life was not exactly as rosy, or the goals I was putting in my mind were no longer the goals that I wanted. So I feel that very often autoimmune diseases are created as a reaction of the body to the life we're living that's not in alignment with who we truly are. And it's almost like our body saying, hey, are you sure? Are you sure this is what you want to do? Maybe you have to rethink your life. And I also have found, remember I work with energy, that the fastest way out of any disease or difficult situation is truly energy. And I say this in a very broad way, but as we change around us, things change. This is the message of the Tao Te Ching. As we change, the world changes. So events and circumstances that seem impossible or certain, or that will be the rest of my life, shift because we shift. And this is like the magic of all the work that I do and everything that I do with my clients, is that as we shift, our reality shifts. And it may seem simple in theory, it's very complicated in practice, not because it's complicated. The answer is always love, but because we have all this resistance and all these ideas about what is right and what is wrong, what is done and what is not done, what is possible and what is not possible. Henry Ford famously said, if you believe you can, you're right. If you believe you cannot, you're right. So whatever you believe is going to be your reality.
Oh, perfect. So, like, are you okay kind of talking about the near-death experience, what exactly happened,
sure,
and going deeper into that?
Yeah, absolutely. So from 2004 to 2012, because I got into meditation, I was doing more and more. I was trying. And I really had gone to the point where I just really wanted to work for humanity. So I went back to Greece. That's why I worked for the government. I really wanted to do something good for the world. And I saw the reality of it was much less glamorous than what I imagined. And I realized these limitations that were everywhere. It's almost as if there was a glass ceiling, but not even at my level, at the country level. And I was like, okay, so we are playing this game of shadows. Nothing can really change. And what am I going to do? Should I just give up trying to be a good person and help the world and join the crowd? I mean, I don't know. And I remember praying about this, and we had some success. And there was one moment when I said, I don't know what to do. Please give me guidance. And the guidance came in the form of a near-death experience. So I was supervising a construction site as an engineer. Some workers took the railings of a construction shaft out. And I was like, what are you doing? This is dangerous, right? So I went to yell at them. And unfortunately, I'm the one who demonstrated how dangerous it could be. So I fell. And I fell face forward. So that means that I landed in my jaw, which kind of pushed my jaw back. It broke all the back teeth. And well, my back also, and my hand, because I put my hand. So I like literally broke my hand in a couple of places, which is apparently not possible, but I did it. And, I had a lot of shattered bones, but what was most serious is the fact that because I moved my jaw, like I no longer had a jaw. So that means that the next breath, I probably swallowed my tongue, and then I stopped breathing. And so that's what created, well, I guess what we call death. I remember the other side, not so much this side. People tell me that from this side, it looked like I wasn't moving and I wasn't breathing. And thankfully, one of the workers eventually figured out what to do, which was to pull my jaw and pull my tongue out so then I can start breathing again. But for me, the experience, I don't know how long it was, but for me, the experience was to go on to the other plane. So I started living life after life, but I wasn't just living life. So I was like literally going through the whole life, because time moves very differently on the other side. And then I could see how karma, or gets carried from one life to the other, but I was going backwards. So I was like, oh, this was the problem in this life. Okay, where did it come from? And then previous life. And then it was like, oh, okay, that was the unresolved thing. And then previous life. And I realized this duality that we always talk about is really for at the soul level, at my soul level, was love and not love. Whatever had been done with no love, the soul remembered as a debt that it had to clear in the next iteration. And so it kind of like I was going back and, I've been good, I've been bad, man, woman, different. I think also different species. But the point is that I remember all the way back to at least where I got before they brought me back. I was a general in Rome, very, very bloody general, like kind of genocide level kind of guy, almost a devil in like disguise. And I remember coming back and in the ambulance, because by that, I kept telling them, I know I was being punished for all this, but that was a long time ago, this lifetime, I'm a good person, right? And for me, like the first thing I was thinking is like, but I'm not guilty. And then I realized this is not a matter of guilt. This was a matter of resolving karma, which is really hard to explain, but the short version is that as we are here in this world, in this life, in this existence, our job is to make a balance, to balance the scale, to go back into the goodness if that's what we want, but really to bring love into the areas of not love. And that's what I keep doing in this life. Wherever I meet somebody, I look at them, I find the areas that are not necessarily loved. And you know them because they're not working in their lives. And so guess what? When we bring love into those areas, the problems that they thought were unsolvable disappear. And it sounds like magic, but it's not. It's very practical. It's like, okay, can we bring love? And it starts with self-love. And the practice of it is a little bit, as I said, it's a little bit complicated, especially for smart people. Most of my clients tend to be really smart people because we have a different way of thinking. We think all the time. We reflect. We do. And somehow our mind has convinced that its abilities are our strongest ability, that we can control things through the mind. And what I can tell you is that we don't control life. Life happens. What we can control is ourselves through discipline. I always talk about these 4 levels of responsibility. Level 1 is kind of where we are in the victim consciousness. And that is when we think that things happen to me. Level 1, things happen to me of the victim. Level 2, I guess I'm a lucky victim. So I'm lucky, but things still happen to me. So whatever happens to me is from my own luck. And that's an easy transition. That's kind of playing the Pollyanna game. The 3rd level is kind of what they do here in the East or in any monastic circle, this observer. So this Zen philosophy, this idea that everything happens and it's not good or bad, it just happened. And take an emotion and attachment out of there. And now in the Western world, we know this as the principle of mindfulness. And I believe that there's one more level, which is we're not only actors or observers or directors, but we're both actor and director. And that's the level of the creator, because we're both engaging with life and at the same time observing. So both those things allow us to create. And in that level, I always say life happens through me. So life happens to me, the victim. Life happens for me, the lucky one. Life happens, the observer, and life happens through me, the creator. And in those levels that I went through in my life, I realized there's specific steps we need to take. And that's what I usually teach to people, because everybody has some level in one area, but maybe not in another. That's the beauty of life. We're all like in work in progress in some way or another. And then we can establish and create those so we can move up in these levels. And as we move up, suddenly it makes sense. The work I do, some of it is from the mind and some of it is from just an awareness. And people don't get it until they do. So I usually prefer my clients to be long-term clients, maybe 6 months to a year, so I can get them in that space where their life shifts and it starts shifting. Because in the beginning, when I meet somebody, first thing they're going to tell me is what's not working in their life, what's wrong. And I'm like, okay, let's work through that. And especially for smart people, proof is something that they need. So I found that proof, psychic phenomena, or other people witnessing they're changing are usually what smart people tend to, well, I shouldn't say just smart people, but people who are doubters tend to use as their way of having some faith. And I admire people with faith because I don't have that much. I mean, now I have truly a belief, but it doesn't come from faith. It comes from a lot of proof. But faith is something magical, but not everybody can have it. So I said, what if we don't have faith? Can we still work the system? Can we still come into this place of flow of awareness? And can we still live life from a place of expanded awareness? And the answer is yes. And so I said, let's create lots of repeatable experiments. So like a scientific way to prove that this life is a life by design. We create an intention, we clear what we want, we surround ourselves with gratitude, and then that's projecting out. And then we bring things back with trust. That's from outside in.
Beautiful. I suppose on the opposite side of the spectrum, especially in the last few years, people are living in fear. They're projecting that, they're putting it out there, and that's all they're seeing. They're not seeing love. They're not seeing gratitude.
Yeah. Whatever we have inside is what is projected outside. So if inside we have anger and fear, that's what we're going to meet outside. If inside we have trauma, well, unfortunately, that's what we're going to replicate outside. And I speak from experience. The first part of my life until maybe 2012 was kind of stuff from horror movies. It was bad. It was bad to worse. It looked like, how can one person be so unlucky? I literally will tell, I don't understand, why am I so unlucky? But what I didn't understand is that it doesn't matter what we do, it's how we feel that determines our reality. So we cannot cheat the system. If we don't feel real gratitude, and I say gratitude because it's the easy one to start faking, but if we don't feel it, nothing happens. I had a game that I was playing in the hospital. I called it the gratitude game. And I was literally listing things I was grateful for. That was the second time, 2012. So I was again a long time in the hospital, and everything hurt. Oh my God, everything hurt because I had a really bad accident. And I remember I would always start with my eyebrows don't hurt, because they didn't. And that was the easy thing to start. And I have clean sheets because, well, they changed the sheets in the hospital, and my mom was here because my mom was actually the person who was supporting me through that. And I had a lot of times I will sit here and not feel grateful, but I was like, okay, I have to feel gratitude. So I will come up with one more idea, and then I will count. I was like, number 4, I'm grateful for sunshine. All right. I am grateful for the ceiling being even. I don't even know. Like, I will come up with whatever felt a little bit, but I will look for the things that felt a little grateful. In the beginning, it was difficult, but I had a magic number, 150. So at 150, the pain will dissolve. The pain disappeared. And to be honest, as I was getting the 120s, 130s, I would like actually find more things to be grateful for, because I had spent all this time thinking gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. And so my mind had given up trying to think other things. And so I was like, okay, I'm in gratitude. And the pain dissolved. Like, literally, gratitude was my painkiller, because I had a lot of pain, and medicine doesn't work at these levels.
Beautiful, beautiful. Like my own experience, I lost everything through the financial crisis. Lost all houses, lost all businesses and everything. And through kind of guided meditation first, it was kind of one, what I was grateful for. I just kept doing that. But the other one that was so powerful for me was the act of forgiveness, because there was so many people that had been fraudulent, that had caused this. And like, when you have that hatred, it's basically, they're not feeling it, you're putting it inside. And no, I can forgive anybody for anything. And I think that was my saving grace, that it just, once I started doing that, like, some are easy. There's some, when there's big ones, it takes a bit of time. But once you do it, it doesn't reverse. Once you got to that stage, it's like you've made a leap, and yeah, I don't know, you kind of become bulletproof, let's say.
It's more that there's a place of not love that was replicated again through people betraying you, through people cheating, stealing, whatever they were doing. And here in the East, the Buddha said that if you're angry, you drink poison expecting the other person to die. It doesn't work like that. And forgiveness is one of those things that I think as humans, we cannot really do. Maybe we forgive ourselves for being in that situation, and we love the other person, because forgiveness implies that we're at the higher level than others, and we're not. We're just loving them. And I feel that this is one of those secrets. Can we find those people and love them despite their darkness? They demonstrated how dark humanity can be. Can I love them anyway? Because they're a part of me and I'm a part of them. We're all one. So I always say, when there's one rapist, I'm raping people. Like, not me, but I'm a rapist. If there's one person raping, if somebody's killing, I'm a murderer. If somebody's stealing, I'm a thief. Because humanity, even though we think we're different and distinct, we are all together. And so forgiveness is one of those things that allows us to remember that we are just human. We're all flawed humans. And one thing, Roy, if I can add, is forgiving ourselves is maybe the most important, the most difficult part. It's like, how could I not see it? How could I talk to these people and not see their darkness? How could I trust them, right? And forgiving yourself for what you did ultimately to cause the situation, because I truly believe that we're responsible for whatever happens. And as we forgive others, we kind of let them off the hook. We're like, okay, I did it, and then I can forgive myself. And then we're like, okay, it happened. And then that's great. Now I can just create something else. And those are the steps in this awareness level, this realization that no matter what, we are okay. We are okay. We're going to be okay. And let me ask you, now, did all the finances, everything that you were hoping for has been restored, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I kind of look, and I think most people that you meet that have gone through a kind of a situation in life, no matter what it was, they always, it's your dark moment, but you're grateful for it, because you've become a different person, because your eyes have opened because of it. And like, for me, with, say, the forgiveness, how one of the ways that I did it is, we've unconditional love for a baby. You see a baby and your heart melts, you just look at a baby. So I brought them all back to being the baby. And I said it was external forces that created them, that who they became. It wasn't them being born to come up like that. It was others that had actually done it in their life journey. And by actually doing that, that's why I was able to forgive everybody.
That's beautiful. That is beautiful. So I love this idea of the baby, and just loving their greatness, their purity, their what they were born to be, and haven't yet realized. I still believe there's hope for everyone. I never give up on anybody.
No, exactly.
Unless they attack, then I let them go. And if they come back with love, I'm okay. If not, then they can attack someone else. That's what they need to do, not with me. That's been where I put my boundary. I'm like, oh, okay, that's how you need to express life at this point, not around me. Bye.
And because if we look at the different issues that are happening in the world, a lot of them, the corporations are controlling, say, the governments, but what I'm finding giving me hope is a lot of these organizations are bringing in people that are actually touching, whether it's middle management, sometimes higher up management. But because of the way a company works, middle management, a percentage of them become higher management. And like, is that something that you believe can
yes,
make change?
and that's what I do. I find that as I help people change, so I work with individuals and corporations in that exact setting, because as we change the leadership of people, as we change their level of leadership, their understanding of themselves, the world, and how they can do good, not only for their department, for the company, right? Remember, good for me, good for you, good for the world. So is it good for me, my team? Is it good for us, so the company? And is it good for the world? That creates products, services, projects that are always better. Right now, the whole world is suffering because we went through a century or two of like really going crazy, destroying the world. And now like the world cannot recover fast enough. And it's up to us to shift how we do business. It's not just about making profit. I mean, yeah, of course it's about making profit. It's the point of business, but it's about making profit with a purpose, making profit with a consciousness, making profit in a magnanimous way. I always look at Singapore as an example of one of those paradoxes. Singapore was kicked out of Malaysia, became a dictatorship, and through a magnanimous dictator, became one of the leading economies in Asia. They had nothing, and now they're one of the leaders in Asia and the world because of this idea that we're all going to work hard and we're all going to work for the highest good, and we're in it together. So there's no part of us that is separate. We may think that our corporation is separate from the economy, but it's not. It's a part of everything. And if we try to isolate, we're not achieving much. In this new model, in this new paradigm of business, is a model of cooperation, of really finding teams, because no one can do it all by themselves anymore. The world is very complicated. Every problem is very complicated. Teams is what achieves, and global teams. So we have to overcome all our prejudices and cultural barriers and even language barriers, because at the end of the day, we're all human and we all have this ability. So I have found that as I help leaders achieve at those levels and really expand their awareness, expand their love, expand their capacity, not only they become successful and definitely rise up in the companies, but their companies become successful. They hold the products that are suddenly becoming the golden geese in the company. They have like, they create these departments that everybody's looking at, because that is the secret. People are at the key of every organization. And as we help the people themselves, then we truly help the organization and make a tremendous difference.
And when, say, you have a leader, the top directors or whatever that are narcissist or ego driven, is there a way to get into them? How we kind of navigate around that?
Well, there's two options. If they work with me, I definitely can help them through their trauma, because very often they're not bad people. They just they just have some trauma they're relieving, and then they think the world is attacking, so they're defending themselves. So if they allow me to work with them directly, I think it's super. I'm so happy when that happens, because the higher up I can help, like the organization, the easier it is to change, transform the organization. But even if, let's say, I speak to a subordinate of theirs, and then there's all these issues, I help them realize what the real issue is behind the one that they're expressing. And I'm like, oh, maybe they have an issue with control. So I'm like, okay, well, how can we reduce your and I'm like, well, what if you collaborated with them more and gave them the option to control every step of the way? And they were like, oh yeah, that works. Or what if you just didn't try to go against them in what they feel is important? So, and then not necessarily not do what is right, but so I'm not saying go from a place of fear, but go from a place of non-aggression. okay, you're right. And how can we make it better? How can we collaborate? How can we merge ideas? So I have found that everybody is is a work in progress. So all we have to do is find their good sides and promote them, encourage them, highlight them, and that not only helps them but also those around them. So, for example, in the example you're asking about the superior person being a narcissist, well, guess what? They're not. I don't believe that there's any broken people. I don't believe that there's unsolvable cases. It's like, why are they displaying this side of their personality? There must be another side that's amazing. Let's find that side and encourage that side to bloom. So we do it by proxy.
Beautiful, beautiful. So with people then that have kind of a blockage, they're not in flow. A lot of people, they say income, they can go to a stage where make a load, then they go back, make a load. They don't kind of get momentum. And I hear that a lot. A lot of people experience that. What's kind of the best way to kind of navigate that?
This feast and famine is the feast part is showing us the ability that we have. So, what is our potential? And the famine part is really our inner selves that thinks that we're not good enough is going to try to prove to the world that we are not good enough or we're a failure or whatever weird thing we're running. Because we're like an iceberg. You see just the tip, but there's so much underneath. So, if subconsciously we think that we need to fail, well, we're going to fail again and again. And it's almost like we're trapping ourselves in those situations where we are recreating failure after failure. That makes no sense. It's not like we want to fail. It's that suddenly we are in those stages where failure becomes a part of our lives, unfortunately, because we believe that we have to overcome this instead of realizing that we can. So in a very theoretical sense, if you think of a sinus curve, right? It's up and down, like a sine wave, right? So up and down. So things go up and things go down. Things go up and things go down. What I realized over time is, well, can we only go up? Well, yeah, if you switch curves. If you're the same person, you're going to have those up and downs. But if you evolve as a person, as a leader, then your down now becomes like the up of the previous version of you. And then from that point, you only have a way up to go. And when you're in your new high, instead of saying, okay, now it's the time for me to go low, you're like, okay, let me reinvent myself. And in that place, I'm going to go into a new stage of growth. It's almost like we're playing with the success and the abilities, but they create incredible realities for the people who are. Because I look at those people who are achieving at the highest level. They always do something more. In this world, there's no static. It's always a movement. So you're either growing or you're dying. So whenever you reach a growth point, that's when you want to go to the next level, because that's when you're still growing. Otherwise, you're gonna crumble.
And with your books, then what are you covering in your books? What's the name of the books and what? Because is it 2 books or have you got more?
So I have some books from a long time ago, and I'm now currently writing a book about leadership. But the books I have, it was back in the days where I was just creating this science of the miraculous. So I had these recipes for healing, recipes for success, recipes for profitability. As any creator will probably tell you, I'm embarrassed looking back 10 years. I'm like, oh my God, I have to rewrite those. So I'm going to say that maybe the best way for people to look at my work now is to follow me on social media, or to wait in a couple months. The new book will be coming out, and then I will be able to point to a book that I'm a little bit more proud of. But I shouldn't say that because,
Like, I mean, what you've mentioned at the start, because just talking to yourself about, okay, what am I grateful for? Like, is that something that was in that book? That's kind of the positivity of like your thought process during that.
no, it wasn't. In the past, I was very shy about talking about myself. I didn't want to be, I thought that people were judging me. I was worried about what people thought about me. So I was pretending that nothing happened to me. I had a perfect life. It's only in the last few years that I started overcoming my visibility blocks and also kind of coming to peace with myself. So it's only in the last few years that I finally started speaking about myself. So that's why I'm now writing a book about this, because I went through terrible abuse in my life: mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, sexual. I mean, everything. And I did not want to admit, I was coming from a place of victim, that this had happened to me. So I didn't want to admit that this had happened to me. And it was very raw and vulnerable. And as a healer, I had to heal myself. And they always say, healer, heal thyself. And I feel that the work I have been doing on myself has been to accept me for my limitations, for my mistakes. And I made so many mistakes. And just forgive myself for all the mistakes I made and for who I've become, and just do better next time. So I know it's the theme this year. That's why I'm finally writing. And thank you, ChatGPT, for helping me with the outlines. But so many people keep asking, well, where's your book? And I'm like, I haven't written it yet. I'm working on it. So finally, with ChatGPT, thank you. I'm getting close to being done writing, because it's not only. I realized that my life is not about me. Everything that I have gone through it can be a role model for somebody who's suffering right now, to realize that it's not hopeless. Remember back when I was hurt, when I was in pain, when I thought that life was against me. People literally will say, oh, stop being a victim. Or, oh, why don't you do better? Why don't you love yourself more? That was my favorite thing. Why don't you love yourself more? I'm like, if I knew how to do it, I definitely would, but I don't even understand the concept, right? So it was very difficult for somebody like me, who came from, well, so low, to come to a place of love and understanding. And it's recent for me to have this self-love and acceptance. It took me years and years and decades of my life to get here. And some people say, oh, I wish I were younger. I'm like, oh, I love where I am right now. Perfect age, because I am not suffering anymore. I spent years suicidally depressed. If you can imagine my life, like dying seemed to be the only option out. It was so bad. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the teachings that always reminded me, don't commit suicide. I was one of those people who called, well, at least twice a year, the suicide hotlines, and during the worst times of my life, maybe once a week or once a day, because it was like, okay, I know I'm not supposed to commit suicide, but right now it feels like the best option. How can I get out of that? And I'm so grateful for all the work that these people do to help people who are real crisis to overcome that momentary desire to let go and give up, because it's really about giving up. I have the greatest respect for pain and people who are in pain, and I also believe that we can do it. I also believe that there's enough strength in us to keep going just another day, and maybe tomorrow will be that day where it will be better. But it does get better. I mean, right now, my life is kind of like the dream life. And I definitely will not have wanted to give up anywhere along the line. But it definitely wasn't easy getting here. And my work is about helping people get here faster. My question is not, can you do it? It's not if you can do it. If it doesn't exist in my vocabulary, it's when. How fast can you do it? How can we accelerate this process so you can get to your dream life, as soon as possible?
Beautiful, beautiful. And you mentioned about being shy. And I believe, because even from the last time we had a conversation, it was it 5 million people that in China that you spoke in front of, or I don't know, was it online or?
The audience, yeah. So I was interviewed for for some events that reached. They told me 100,000 people. I don't believe them, so I say 5. I don't know. This number seems unreal to me, but 5 seems like a huge number of people to have been reached. I know we sold hundreds and thousands of the interview copies. So
brilliant. So I suppose, like, with what we've discussed, for those that are, you know, ready to throw in the towel. I mean, I grew up in a neighborhood, and like there was a lot of depression. There's people just, they don't see the light. Like, what kind of few little tips that can, I know you mentioned about calling like the Samaritans or the suicide line or something, which definitely helps, and I know they can be very, but like, what kind of little tips that we can help people that are just with all that's going on at the moment?
Absolutely. And I am really hoping not a lot of people are thinking about suicide. If you are, definitely call the hotlines. But if your life simply sucks, the answer is not, oh, well, if I get there, if I achieve this, if only I have this, then my life will change. Because that's the trap. Oh, I will get there and then my life will be better. Well, guess what? You're still the same person. You're still going to have the same life. So it's not about the external things that change, it's the internal things that change. Your internal world, your universe, your perception, your understanding of the world. So when somebody said, I have clients, I told you the first, the reason my work takes longer than a few days is because most people, when they start working with me, the first thing they do is they tell me all their problems and complaints. And I'm like, okay, let's get them out of there. So the way it changes is to realize that as humans, we have limited capacity. So it's as if there's an ocean of knowledge and everything out there. And then as we come here, that's it. We're limited humans. So think about it. If you have a box that fits, I'll tell you an example. I was working with a client who was facing a lot of negativity every day. He was angry. He was like upset. We will go through one thing and then he'd be like, I'm so upset. I'm sorry. Go back to the beginning. And then finally he said he had one of those wallets where you can put credit cards in, and then you press and the credit card comes out, but it had this limited capacity. So it could fit, let's say 5, and he put in 6. Well, the wallet was stuck and he couldn't do anything and he had to spend an hour. But in that hour, he finally had the realization. He's like, oh, that's what you mean about we can only do so many things. If we put in a lot of anger, there's no space for anything else. So what we can proactively do is put gratitude. So if we have a lot of reasons we're angry, well, guess what? It's your choice. Are you choosing to think about what you're angry about, what you're bitter about, the people who hurt you? I mean, you were saying people betray you. Well, guess what? It's no fun, right? So, and you can think of those people as, oh, that horrible person, that monster who betrayed me. But what if you thought of them as actors in a game and their role was to show you your own darkness? It's like, okay, so that person took money from me, but their role is to take my money. So where am I giving away my money? Why am I feeling obligated to not be abundant? Where's my limitations in abundance? So seeing them as guides, are helpful guides, definitely not the best kind, but the most helpful kind. So all those people that, oh my God, abandoned me. I told you when I was in the hospital, I was so alone. Both times, but in the first time, it was such a shock. I went from having all these friends to all of them disappearing. I remember there was one friend of mine who showed up just to ask me what happened. And that was it. She didn't come to see me because she cared. She came out of curiosity. there were only 2 or 3 people who ever came over and over again who really helped me. And those people I consider my family. And for the rest of my life, whatever they need, I am there for them, right? But there's so few and far between. What happened to the rest of the world that I knew, right? I remember it was so shocking to see that when you're down, people just don't care. They don't want to be there. And I was like, I guess, what does that mean about our friendship? Well, I guess there was nothing. But what I realized is that maybe this is too much for them. Like my fiance, for example, he left me when I was in the wheelchair. He left me because of everything that happened. He literally told me, even if we were married and we had children, I will have left you because I can't handle this. And he came back when I got better. Okay, I couldn't trust him, so we didn't continue, but he gave me a gift. He gave me a gift because he gave me my freedom. And now, like I met him years and years later, and I realized I'm so happy I didn't marry that guy. Thank you for not marrying, for not sticking around. But it showed me what it means to be independent. It showed me how strong I am, what abilities I have beyond the wildest dream. And all this only happened because I was able to overcome these limitations. So those difficult things that are happening are not, so remember the first level is going, this happens to me, to this happens for me. So find ways to be grateful, even for the darkest events and circumstances in your lives. Because that is the trick with our mind. We can play that game. You can call it the Pollyanna game. It's a good name for it. But why is it a good thing? Why did it happen for you? Why is it good? Why is it good? And because you're actively involving your mind to find reasons to be grateful for, well, guess what? Your life will manifest things that you can be grateful for more and more. So it's not about forgiving. It's about realizing that there's nothing to forgive. When I look back into my life, in this life, I know that I have not been an angel for sure, or a saint, right? So I've done things to people. And to me, the greatest gift is when I, quote unquote, died and I went back in the karma. Because finally I understood that everything that happened in this life was just a tiny speck of reminder of what I could have done to other people. And my soul had decided I wasn't going to do again. So it's almost as if I came and I said, hey, did you like being raped? No. Okay, great. Let's make sure you don't do that again. Did you like being stolen, having people steal or cheat? No, definitely not. So let's not do that again. So if it happened, for me, it was so intense and so much. If it happens so much, I could either choose to be horrible or a really kind person, but there was no way for me to sit in the middle. So now I can tell you for sure that we can either go one way or another way, but there's no way to stay in the middle. In the middle where you say, well, a little lie doesn't matter. A little theft doesn't matter. A ridiculous example, but I will go to places and if they had a pen, I'll steal their pens. And okay, it's not a big deal, but I was a thief. I stole pens. So I had a place where I just said, I'm never going to do that again. I took lots of pens. I bought, I distributed to people to balance out the karma. And now if this pen doesn't belong to me, I'm not going to take it. It doesn't matter. I mean, people will say, you can go ahead and take it. But if they say, okay, then it's no longer their pen. But if they said nothing, then I'm not taking it. And I remember I went through the store and I loved their pen. And I was like, I didn't want to take it, but I was like, I love your pen. Can you tell me the brand? Can I write it down? They were like, you really like it? I said, yeah, I love it. It had this I like silly little pens. And they were like, here, you can have 5 of them. It's like we give them to people. I said, okay, this is excellent. Right. But I didn't expect them to give it. I didn't expect them because they weren't mine. And the fact that I got them, I was like, oh, super cool. I have all the pens I love and I don't even have to figure out where to buy them. But the thing is, I realized that I have enough money to buy all the pens in the world that I need. I have enough money to buy everything that I need. And this is the feeling of abundance, knowing that everything we want is available to us. The feeling of scarcity is like, oh, but if I don't take it from others, then I can't have it. The feeling of abundance is, I definitely can have it in my life, anything I want. So I'll just have to wait till it's my time. So changing ourselves until.
Beautiful, beautiful. Listen, Maria, thoroughly enjoyed our conversation. It's fantastic. You might let people know how they can get in contact with you.
Absolutely. So the easiest way is to find in our website. And I know we're giving a free gift, which is a productivity tool. So it's a series of meditations and texts to help people who are in business and want to be more productive, find a way, not necessarily into the flow, that's a little bit more complicated, but at least to have the flow in their current situations. Because the more they're in there, the better they can respond to life and living a place from a place of creation, not just things happen to me. We're also there's also my website, but you can also send us an email at mariakellis@mariakellis.com. That's MAARIA, so Maria Kellis, that's KELLIS.com, and send us an email, and we will. I still offer this discovery sessions. I also invite people to come and find what is the biggest blockage, what is the thing that they want, the adventure that they want to be in, what is their dream, what is their biggest blockage, and what is the path forward. And I do this for lots of people because I find that it's a gift that I can give that is easy for me, and it seems like magic for someone else, but it's just a conversation. So I invite people to register for those if they feel that I can help them. I would love to help them. I'm here to help humanity, especially after I came back from 2012. Like, if I'm being honest, I didn't really want to come back because there's so much suffering in this world. But I find that the only reason I'm here is to help humanity and to help people and to give more love, to bring more love, to bring more light into this world. So you're giving me a gift by letting me help you, because by letting me help you, you're being helped, and I'm also fulfilling my purpose.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. So I'll make sure I'll put the links both on the audio and the video, and with the email I'll put a bracket around it, because otherwise you'll be spammed with all the way the bots work and everything. So I'll make sure that doesn't happen.
Absolutely.
So thank you very much, Maria.
Oh, thank you so much, Roy, for having me. Thank you for inviting me. It's a great honor to be here. Thank you.
So that's all for the Speaking Podcast. You'll find all our episodes on speakingpodcast.com. As mentioned, we're on BitChute and YouTube, and my further podcasts, along with the coaching, can be found on bio.link/podcaster. Sure to give us a thumbs up, 5-star rating, share with your friends. Until next week, take care.
So I hope you enjoyed this week's podcast. You'll find everything about me on bio.link/podcaster with all my podcasts, and you'll find it, you see in the QR code in the graphic that's shown. I'd like again to thank my sponsors. So if you or someone you know struggling with anxiety and want to know how to be 100% anxiety free in 6 weeks without therapy or drugs, Daniel Packard's Anxiety Solution Program company offers a 6-week system that permanently solves anxiety at an astounding 90% success rate. People who join the program only pay at the end once they have clear, measurable results. If you're interested in learning more, go to permanentanxietysolutions.com, where you can book a free consultation with Daniel. Do you fight blood pressure and or want to get off the meds? Doctors are amazed at what Zona Plus can do. You can get a $50 discount with my code ROY, zona.com/discount/ROY. And you'll see it in the QR code as well as Daniel's QR code. Quality manufacturer of metal products for telecommunication and workshop equipment and other metal materials. You see the brochure there in the QR code, and let me know if you would like a quotation, shipped internationally at very competitive price. I'd like to thank all my sponsors and also all my listeners. Be sure to give me a thumbs up, 5-star rating, share with your friends, really helps. And I also have a video on how to give a 5-star rating, because a lot of people have wrote to me asking me that they don't know how to do that. Until next week, take care.